Hey guys, I just want to let you know that I'm now a certified spiritual life coach. If you resonate with the topics and lessons that my guests and I discuss on my podcast, and you feel that you could use some empowerment and direction in your journey of becoming who you truly are, consider booking a free discovery call with me on my website at kindlemccullough.com. And now on to the episode. Hey guys, today I have with me my friend Juliet. Another in-person conversation. Really think there's something to in-person that just adds more depth and quality that you can't get over the computer. So I always enjoy the in-person. So thanks for coming on, Juliet.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And how old are you?
I'm 22.
22. I think Juliet is our youngest guest.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
So no pressure, or maybe there's less pressure.
Yeah, I don't have to live up to the past people that have been on here.
Well, yeah. I hope all my guests, don't feel any pressure, but it's just the way things are. So today we're just going to talk about Juliet's journey in life and just kind of her beliefs and where she's been, where she's going, and so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I've never been on a podcast before, so this was when you asked me. I was like, you know what? We have some pretty in-depth conversations that could literally go anywhere, and so why not share a little bit of our crazy, random, and very deep and thoughtful conversations that we have with each other.
Yeah. I've had 70 guests, so I can validate my craziness. Be like, look, there's 70 other people that are crazy in the same way I am, so it's okay.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I've really liked about becoming familiar with your podcast is just that all of these people are coming together, and we might all believe different things, but we still hold respect for each other, and we're still, open to listening and disagreeing, because we don't all have to agree. And I think it would be a little weird if we did, but I think it's nice that there are so many people just around that aren't, negative Nancy's.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big staple of my podcast and the type of guests I like to have on. And of course, just the type of people I want to talk to and be my friends. And I mean, every once in a while, there'll be something someone says that I might disagree with or vice versa. But everybody on is really great and know that that's not going to attack our identity.
Right.
It doesn't have to be something we fight about or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
And I do like that. I think,
where do you want to start?
I guess the beginning.
Yeah, just tell me your whole life.
In my life, you want to know everything about me? Okay. So I guess really, I was born here in Lubbock. I don't know if we've ever said where.
I've said. I've
okay,
told people.
Yeah. So I was born here in Lubbock, and then I grew up in Abernathy, Texas, which is a small town 20 minutes from here. There's 3,000 people.
Where'd y'all move?
Well, my parents lived there.
Okay.
And because there's not a hospital.
Oh, right.
So this is the hub for all of the surrounding towns. Mm-hmm. So I was just born here, and then we went home, but I grew up very religiously.
What denomination?
At first Methodist. But my parents kind of, I don't know, I think within their faith, they kind of realized that maybe denominations don't matter that much.
That's an expansion point.
Yeah, right. So at first it was very Methodist. We went to this little church there, but then my parents started really getting into volunteering and just in general helping other people. And so we would go to this non-denominational church here in Lubbock. And so we would do that on Sundays. We would go to church in Abernathy, and then we would have lunch, and then we would come to church again in Lubbock. And then the kids, we would go back to Abernathy and have youth after. So 3 times church on Sundays and then Wednesdays. So
okay. Yeah. That's one more than me.
Yeah. I got you beat. But then, so I would describe my parents as I guess very true to the New Testament Christians, right? So they're like liberal, you know, they're very love focused and driven, right? My mom actually started a non-denominational organization when I was young, and like it's called All You Need Is Love. And nice. It was just like, it's still a thing now. Like right now in Abernathy, it has like a little clothes swap shop. Like you could go donate and get free clothes or whatever.
Nice.
But while I was growing up, she had this after school program, and like we would have all these teenagers come after school, and like we would work on our homework, and we would hang out and like play games and eat dinner. And it was just like a safe space for teenagers to go instead of whatever else teenagers can get into.
Get up to
you know?
mischief. Yeah.
And so
you don't see a lot of that these days. Like stuff like
I know
space for that.
I know. And I feel like it's people just can't trust each other right now. I think so because of the internet, I think a lot of people's internal monologues are leaking out, and we're kind of realizing as a society that
there's more diversity than we thought.
And some people are really dark,
right,
you know,
right.
like, and maybe, of course, it's fear based, you know, maybe that person is working at the Boys and Girls Club that, you know, and so of course I'm not going to send my kid there. They're much safer at home, even though
I think it's part of it. I think part of it is just also we have a lot more like activities for kids or for people, and everybody's more like going to what they, you know, want.
Right.
And so the community is kind of like there is community in that, but it's like you might just know someone for that activity and they're not part of the rest of your life. So the people that are a part of your life, it's more like in each little category, if that makes sense.
I think that teenagers especially though are a bit neglected, at least by society, maybe not on an individual level, but like think about, at least here in town, you know, we have like playgrounds and public parks with playgrounds that little kids can go to. What teenager wants to like slide down a slide? You know what I mean? And like, we don't have things here that are catered specifically for teenagers. And so then, I mean, they just go get in trouble, or they just stay at home all day.
Yeah.
And that's not
Technology,
good for them either.
video games,
you know?
social media.
Yeah. Very bad for the mental space, especially a vulnerable mental space as you are as a teenager.
Yeah.
Very vulnerable. But yeah, so, my parents are, I would say they're good people, but of course they have their flaws. They would disagree, but
yeah. Well, one thing you said, it was just interesting, is that you said they're like liberal, which is very unusual in this area of the country, and also especially small towns, I feel like. Yeah.
So they're kind of like a minority in their own community, because all of their friends are conservatives, you know, and when they have church services that focus on, you know, like abortion or something, and everybody's praying that this bill or whatever will be passed so that doesn't happen anymore. My parents disagree. They, you know, they just don't hold a lot of the same core beliefs that conservatives do. They're very, like, really, they're very focused on love, and like they try to just help other people all the time, and I think a flaw of that is they do stretch themselves thin. And that's something that I saw my whole childhood, just constant. We have to do this today, and then this, and then this, and then we're going to go here, and we're going to talk to these people, and then we're going to go pick up this teenager that needs a ride from school or whatever, like just constant.
Is that just them, or do they feel like their children, or like everyone should be doing that?
Yeah, definitely grown. I probably have some trauma from it, but it was like, if I'm doing something, really with my dad, if I'm doing something and you're not doing anything, I'm mad at you and you're doing something wrong. If there would be times where we would be like, oh, dad's coming home, somebody start cleaning something.
Oh, wow.
Because if he had a bad day and he came in the house and we were peacefully watching TV, maybe even all of our chores are done and all of our homework is done, he's still immediately like walking in with that energy, and I feel like he's gotten better as he's gotten older. Like, I think he's kind of mellowed out a bit, but especially when I was younger, it was like, oh, dad's coming home, and it wasn't really like, he would just get mad and be mad. And it was like, oh, we could all tell.
Right.
It was like,
it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I should probably mention is involved with my parents and everything, but they're very, very like, Jesus is my best friend. I talk to Jesus every day, right? And God will put ideas in my head, and then I have to do them because it was from God, and so they're big on like reading signs that they see around, and so something they did because of prayer, and I could go in a little deeper about what I think really happened, but they decided that they were going to start fostering children. And so I was in like 6th grade, maybe 7th grade, when we got our first pair, and it was a couple of boys, and they were young. And I really just kind of took on that big sister, babysitter type role.
How many brothers and sisters do you have already?
So one.
Okay.
I have one biological brother. And so then those boys, their parents got the checklist done to get them back. Right. And
got it.
So they got them back, and they're doing good. And then after that, we had these 2 sisters, and they were both older than me. And so that was definitely a new experience for me, because I'll be the first one to admit, because I have actively said that I wasn't as a child. Now I absolutely was totally sheltered, completely, like, and I think that was good for my psyche, I guess, as a child, to be ignorant of the world. Right. But it was kind of jarring to
like
realize like there's so much going on that no one has ever talked to me about, and they all know. And I think, that's kind of a weird feeling.
Right.
But so having these older sisters, they really exposed me to like a lot of the world and a lot of the inappropriate.
Right.
Because, like, I was a child. And then you get these teenagers in your house that they're like, oh, you don't know what I'm talking about? Here, let me show you on my phone, And so, but then they went back with their mom after a while. And I think they've both had a few children now at this point, which I think they wanted. So I think they're doing good too. And then, so after them, or kind of during, but they all kind of cross over, like lap onto each other. But then we got these three, a girl that was older than me, and then two boys that were younger than me. And we just fell in love with them, you know, like they're awesome. Spoiler, we adopted them. And like they're my siblings. Like the youngest boy, he's my closest brother. I'm closer to him than I am to my older brother, my biological brother, right? And then at the same time, on the same day, we adopted 3 other girls.
Wow.
Because they had come to live with us too. And it was very clear that all 6 of them, they weren't related. The 3 sibling groups weren't related, but it was clear that their parents weren't going to be able to get them back, you know? And so we adopted them, and that was just an experience like on its own, you know, kind of, it wasn't super difficult to get used to the idea of just having 6 extra siblings, you know, because we had that after school program. And so I was already around all of these kids, and they would like talk to my mom like she was their mom, you know, and they would like ask her for advice. And so I had kind of gotten really used to sharing her, you know, and so that was, I guess I'm glad that I had that experience before adopting these kids, because it would have been much more difficult, I think, to acclimate to that.
Yeah, 2 to like 8 or
yes,
whatever.
Yes. And so, of course, they each have their own individual set of problems and amazing things about them, of course, you know. And so that was just a very big part of my life and a big part of why I am the way that I am. I think I might have a bit more compassion and a bit more empathy for a random stranger than someone who may not have been through what I've been through, you know.
Because it's a lot different than your own siblings that you've always grown up with versus someone from a completely different upbringing and that's not actually related to you, and then having to make them family, and that's so intimate and all the time. And so,
so that, and then also just how I went from having 0 sisters to 4, you know, like that was big, you know? And so, you know, eventually it was like, it got to a point where it was like, that's how it had always been, you know, and you fight with your siblings, and I would fight with them. They would fight with us, you know, they would fight with each other. And it was just very like
normal.
Yeah. It definitely got to that point. And I'm so glad at this point, you know, because I love them all, you know, they're all my siblings, and we might not talk every day or every week or whatever, but I think they know that I love them, and I know that they love me too. So that's been a definite plus, and I'm glad that it kind of made me be empathetic and caring.
Yeah. So many people like don't have much family around, or especially like that, you know, they have like a relationship or loves each other. And so just having that support, like I always grew up, you know, every family has issues, but a loving family that's supported, and extended family, and most of them live in Lubbock. So we like have lunch every Sunday. So that's actually kind of rare these days.
Yeah, I would agree. I see mine on like holidays and stuff, you know, but I'm glad. And like a few of them have kids now too, my sisters, and I just love all my little nieces, because none of them had boys yet, but I love them all. They're so cute. But
did you want to talk about like what you think happened with your parents, why they decided like?
So my mom went to school to be an English teacher, but then she went back to be a counselor.
Hey, that's just like me.
Yeah. So she got she got her she had a few hours left to get the degree or something. At least that's how she said it to me. And at the same time, our Methodist church was like, just the way that churches kind of evolve with having new pastors or new leaders coming in, and they bring in new people that they've met from their experiences. And so it was just a really big thing at the time that foster kids needed help. And so I think my parents would see, I remember when we would go to our church here in Lubbock, they would put up these pictures all over the place of these sibling groups or individuals that needed somewhere to live, right? And so I think my parents just had long exposure to the idea of that. And then they started finding dimes everywhere. And every time they found a dime, it was a reiteration that they were supposed to have 10 people in their family.
Oh, huh.
And so that was like a super big part of their decision. And to me, to where I'm at right now, that's crazy. I'm sorry. And that's me on my own parents. Yeah. I just think, I don't think that finding a coin is reason enough to make an extremely, extremely large life decision like that, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's hard to know, really. I feel like everyone's experiences are so different and their perspectives, and it's hard to know, like, was this your own psyche, your own like unmet needs or issues, or was that God? Was it yourself? Like, it's hard to know. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And so if we move on, that was a bit of my younger background, just the basis of my family life, you know. When I got into high school was around the time that I came to the realization that girls are pretty too. And then I was like obsessed with my best friend. You know, that's always how it goes too. In these little stories, it's almost like a movie because it's so like canon, I think, you know. But I was in love with her, infatuated with her, and you know, it doesn't work out like that, you know.
Because she's not back.
Well, it was just kind of messy. It just, for a lot of strange reasons that honestly to this day don't really make sense to me.
I mean, you're young. That's all you have to say.
yeah. It really. And so then I was like, after I had gotten over her, and I got I think my sophomore year.
Okay, high school.
Yeah. I got a girlfriend, and honestly, the worst decision I've ever made. No, I'm a better person because of what she put me through, and I'll phrase it like that on purpose because it was one of those narcissistic tendencies, manipulation at every corner, chronic lying for no reason. Well, attention. That was the reason. And I see now, like, she was young too. I hope she's doing better for the people that she's around sake, you know, because she's kind of like a tsunami wave. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared for somebody like that. I didn't even know, going back to my shelteredness, I didn't even know that people could intentionally hurt you psychologically. I did not even have that as an idea formulated in my head. I had no clue. And so she really changed who I was. You know, I wasn't myself anymore. I wasn't the Juliet that had grown up into the point that I met her, right? She turned me into like her little yes man, her little minion, right? Her right hand girl, right? And, you know, I think we were together for a little over a year maybe, but I think the thing that was really bad about all of that is that I lied to my parents and I told them that she was my friend and that she needed a place to live. And so she moved into my house with me.
So she didn't
in high school. Yeah. I mean, so
she had like a rough family.
She didn't want to. It was a lie. I mean, I just don't know. I can't.
She said that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I met her family and they seemed fine. Yeah. I don't know. They seemed fine to me, but you know, so my parents being generous, open to having strangers, children come into their homes, right into their home, right? They were like, of course she can. And of course she can go to school with you and be around you literally every hour of the day, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's really why it was so bad is just like teenagers think that they want to be with this one person every moment. Girl, no, you don't. No, you don't. You just can't even comprehend what the consequences of those actions will be. You know, good old frontal lobe hasn't developed, you know.
Well, so I'm curious. I had 3 questions.
Yeah.
One of them was, so you said your parents are they're Christian, but they're more liberal. Were they open to LGBTQ or not?
It was something that we had talked about a bit, but it was mostly not really discussed. Like, it was... I remember having some conversations with my mom when I was pretty young. And it was pretty much, I think, one of the first times I had even realized that a woman could love a woman or a man could love a man. You know, I didn't know. And I was like, oh, what? That's weird. Women are supposed to be with men, you know, or boys are supposed to be with girls. That doesn't make any sense. But they would never badmouth, never. That was never something that happened, you know. And when we would talk about like actors or, you know, whatever, they always had like a neutral, honestly, like it was like they didn't really care, to be honest. And so then one day I remember I asked my mom, what if I was gay? And she was like, you're not. But then she was like, you're, you know, so-and-so, she's gay and you're nothing like her, you know, and you're too pretty to be gay. And, you know, and so that was once I had kind of realized that I was. I had told my friends at school, you know, and I was like,
That was my other question, or one other one. Yeah. Just because you grew up in a small town, was that normal or weird, or like how's that?
So
seen?
I was lucky to have 2 other gay guys that went to school that were older than me, right? So one of them came out and he was the first, or at least the first in however long they remember the alumni or whatever. But he was the first and it went well for him. I can't lie. He was really cool and people just generally liked him. Yeah. He got on the cheer squad. So I was really proud of him. And I'm kind of proud of the town I grew up in for being accepting. And then honestly, when I when I came out, it wasn't a big thing. It was like I told my friends, and then everybody else just kind of got the hint, I think, you know, and
so were you like nervous or freaked out or just like whatever?
I just told my friends.
And it's like it's a normal thing.
Yeah,
friends.
I guess I was nervous in the moment, but really it was just like I found something out that is really exciting, and I'm different. You know, different. And so,
but your parents, you were too scared.
Yeah, I didn't tell them for a good while. Yeah,
just because you were like, they're not judging, but I'm their daughter, so it's different.
Yeah, and especially after asking my mom what if I was, and her response to that, I was like, she's not going to get mad or yell or kick me out.
Yeah.
But
that'd be a shock.
I don't know what she's going to do.
Yeah.
You know? And so I didn't tell her for a while. And did you have another question?
Oh yeah. So, you know, you said that she was like really manipulative and all the stuff, and you stayed with her a year. Did you think back, like reflect later, or maybe like now, like what, like how did she reel you in, or like what drew you to her and that kept you together for so long?
Okay, let me describe her a bit. She had big curly hair. I was kind of into musical theater. That's how we met, was like at a musical theater camp. And when she walks into a room, it's her room. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
She'll force it to be. Like, that's the thing. It's not always just naturally her room, but she'll make it her room.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's kind of what drew me to her. Because I remember at first I had a little crush on one of the other girls that were at the camp too. And then we became friends, like a group. Because I joined it was like a troupe that they had. And so I joined. And then I realized, like, she's the one in charge. She's the one commanding. And honestly, I don't really think I had a choice in turning my head. Does that make sense? Like, she commanded it, and so it was so. At least that's how it felt at the time, you know?
Yeah. Sounds like you were the anxious, she was avoidant attachment style. That's just, to me.
I would say, yeah. Especially then.
Right.
So once she was also the first girl that I had ever been close to. She was the first girl that I had sex with, you know, and that was such a big deal to me. And I mean, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like most teenagers, but I think really what it was is I had never met anyone like her before. And I realize now that I've met people like her since then, but I immediately realized that they were not people I wanted to be friends with.
You know the pattern now. You're like, oh.
But she was the first that I had ever met. And so she just was fascinating to me, you know, and so confident, you know, and that was something I really liked. And just very like, oh, you have a problem? I'm going to fix that problem, you know, and I liked that too, because I was kind of, honestly, at first I wasn't like this, but as I became close to her, I was more timid because all of her personality
she's like suffocating you out.
Yes, exactly. I would say she stripped me of my personality. It was
and your parents and your friends didn't like realize, or?
They kind of did, but she was pretty good at twisting things so that she could be the victim, you know, and so like there were a few times where my friends at school would be like, I don't like her. And then I would tell her, and then she would say, you're not friends with her anymore. You know, she did the thing, like, you know, when they like cut you off from all your friends and all of your support system, and then you're theirs. You belong to them. You'll do whatever they say. You know, if you get in fights, it always ends in tears, you know, and we would fight a lot. I don't fight with people, and I didn't before either, but we would have these screaming matches, you know, in my bedroom. And like my parents could obviously hear us, right? And so there was one time my mom said, like, if you need me to kick her out, I will do that for you. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. You don't have to do that. I wish I had done that. But it's just hard now because I've grown so much through her being that way. You know, she made me realize that the world isn't all sunshine, you know, and rainbows. And she was just so much. And I guess I didn't have very much muchness in my life. And so she just drew me in like a moth to a flame.
Right. You were attracted to like the power and the like assertiveness and the confidence, and you felt like you're lacking in yourself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so then that really just opened me up to be exactly what I was afraid of becoming. And so, but eventually, she broke up with me. And this was after I had very serious thoughts about breaking up with her, and it scared me to death. So I didn't do it. You know, it was like, how could I survive without her? You know, and I feel like in hindsight, you have so much like a better perspective than you do in the moment. You know, I should have broken up with her right then. But so eventually she breaks up with me. And this was during quarantine. So we still lived together 24 hours a day in this room. And we would like go to school online and like do our classes online. And then we would get off classes, and then we were still just the two of us there, broken up, like pretty much hating each other. Like, yeah.
And you still didn't ask your mom to kick her out.
No, I didn't. Because I felt bad for her too. Because she had painted this picture of herself in my mind as a boo-hoo.
Did she still want to live there?
Yeah. She wanted to go to school. She wanted to finish high school. Because, at this point, it was our junior year. And so she was like, I guess it kind of makes sense.
Was her family didn't live there?
Here in town. In Lubbock. So she just moved 20 minutes away.
So if she went back with her family, she couldn't have finished here.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, she could have, but I don't know why she wanted to stay. I don't know. Maybe it was because she knew she had her hooks in me and that I would like essentially do what she wanted me to do. And so I agreed that she could like stay living there until we graduated.
Wow.
And that's what happened. She continued to live with us until I went off to college and she got her own apartment. And we were still friends after even that. And let me tell you, at this time, I hated her. I despised her. I had seen through the facade. I had realized that she was like intentionally causing these problems so that she could be better than me, have more attention than me, just, you know. And so we were also, like I said before, like in that musical theater troupe together too. And we were like the top two girls. And so it was kind of like, well, dang, if I cut her off, if I blow this bridge up, my whole life is done. Like, I'm going to be doing nothing. I'm going to have my family to hang out with, you know, all my friends, I cut them off, you know, and I like, so I was afraid too. And that's when I would say, I'll say this, going on to in that time period, my spirituality, my Christianity, because I was a Christian for, I would say, until 2022 is when I
that's
had
long ago.
officially stopped considering myself a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But so at this time, I had kind of decided that if being gay is so wrong and God made me like this, then screw God.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had just gotten to a point where I did not care about, I cared about my life. I cared about my problems and my friends. And
so did you ever buy into the like, oh, I can change, like this might be wrong, so let me try to change, be like straight?
I never felt that way. I just thought like, this is how I am. And I can't control that. And this was also during a time where it was very big that like saying on the internet, like, it's not a choice. It's not a choice. And so I believed that. Right. And so I really like hunkered down on God made me like this.
Yeah.
And so I don't care.
It's kind of interesting because you just talking about relationship where you had a hard time being assertive and being like, this is me and my boundaries and what I believe and who I am. And then in this area, you were very strong in that.
Yeah. And I think that I was able to be strong in that because I was angry, you know, and I thought if anyone's at fault, it's God. It ain't me for liking women, because at that point I had experienced what love could be. You know, it's with like a really messy person, but still that it was something good. Oh, and too, I'll say about the girl, she was also awesome. I'll put that in there. She was amazing. She was my best friend. I loved her. I didn't see at first.
So it's like she wasn't just a crazy, terrible
she wasn't
person.
Just
it was
awful
like
all the time.
Both.
Yeah, she had. We would have amazing conversations. We would have the like hilarious jokes, and we had fun together.
It all makes more sense
lot,
now.
Like a lot. I know it's very easy for me now with hindsight to disregard all of the good because I think now that for a good portion of that, she was just lying to me for her own benefit. And so I don't really consider a lot of that when I talk about her, which, you know, but so, yeah, I was still a Christian though. And I had just decided that it was kind of like, well, of course God is real, but I don't care, you know? And then around then is when I met my current girlfriend, Sasha. And she was actually introduced to me like through my ex-girlfriend. So we were going to have like a date, like a double date with the ex-girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Current girlfriend.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And so we had like made this plan to just have this like Valentine's Day date with her boyfriend, me, this girl, and then a couple of our friends. And so we're like all in this room before I've ever met her. And the ex was like scrolling through her Instagram, like, who do I know? Who do I know that's gay? Who could possibly go on a date with you right now? And so she finds Sasha and she's like, who's this? Why am I friends with her? And she like looks at her and she's like, oh, I know this girl. She's like an ex of one of these other girls that went to our musical theater troupe with us, right? And so I was like, okay, yeah. And so she messages her and she's like, hey, are you gay? She's like, yeah. Do you want to go on a date with my friend? Here's her picture. And she was like, oh, sure. So that we dated. We went on the date, and that was a mess, just because of the ex. Right. She's just she had this weird thing once we broke up, that she was allowed to do what she wanted, but I was not allowed to do what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And so when she practically made this match and it like worked, she did not like that. She tried to break us up a few times. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I was scared to stop being her friend. I was scared of what would happen. Mm-hmm. And so we just kept being her friend, and Sasha hated her. And I hated her. We would just like, she would walk in the room, we would sit there and indulge her nonsense, and then she would walk out and we would practically like make identical rolling eye faces at each other. You know, it was like, I can't stand her. And then I don't understand why I made these decisions that I did, and then me and Sasha moved in with her in her apartment. Oh, wow. And that was after, Sasha moved in with her because her parents kicked her out because she wouldn't break up with me. And that's her side, you know. Not everybody's parents are the same. But so she had to live with her. And she was the only person that she even knew that had a place for her to stay. And so then I get out of my dorms at college, and I just I'm like, I'm going to go stay with Sasha. Like, I'm going to go sleep with her. And so we slept on an air mattress in a 1-bedroom apartment. We would sleep in the living room.
Oh, wow.
For like 4 or 5 months. And eventually we were so driven mad by this completely selfish person. She would like keep us up till 3 a.m, right? And every day it was like she was purposefully making sure that we were awake so that we would have the same sleeping schedule as her. And then one day she just randomly decides, after like embedding in us the sleep schedule that she had given us, that she was going to wake up at 7 a.m, make us breakfast, wake us up, and clean the whole house. And I'll say this too. She was a slob. She was big, messy. And so Sasha, when she moved in, she cleaned the whole place. And she said it was the worst place she's ever cleaned. And so her waking us up to clean was like, are you kidding me?
She's just like trying to keep control.
Yeah. And that was the day, that decision that she made to wake us up that morning is why we moved out of there. Wow. And we moved in with my parents. And I'm really glad that my parents have been.
And when did you tell them? When did they figure it out?
I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
So I did. I told my mom first, and I couldn't speak it out loud. I was so scared. And I had my shoes on. I was like, I'm not taking my shoes off until I tell her and I know what her answer is going to be.
So you can like get out of there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. And so I was just scared, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I write this whole note on my phone and then I hand her the phone. That's how I told her. I was so scared. I was so scared. And so she reads it. And then in that moment, she doesn't really say anything, but she's like, I want to have like a conversation about this later. And I was like, okay. And so then essentially she like pulls me into a room alone, because I gave her the phone with the ex in the room because she still lived there. So I like told her in front of her. And so then she obviously wanted a private conversation. And so we went, and like, she was just telling me essentially not to close myself into a box, you know, don't put labels on myself because I might change my mind. And essentially at first though, she was trying to convince me that I wasn't and that I was wrong and that I just didn't know myself. And I mean, sure, maybe I didn't know myself, but I knew that when I kiss a girl, it's not gross. And when I kiss a guy, kind of gross. And I don't really, it's the gay. It just like works out that way. I don't understand it. Uh-huh. And so, I didn't tell her that. I just took everything she said to me, because also my mom was big on me being her favorite. So she wouldn't say that, but well, I think she kind of did one time, but so think like when she would say things to me, I would just listen because she had just raised me to be that way for her, right? And
kind of like a meshment.
Yeah, or like a confidant sometimes. Yeah. And so like she would have problems and she would tell me, and then I would,
like a friend more than like a daughter.
Yeah. But also still a mom. It was a very interesting dynamic. I would say probably common, but I did what, I would listen to her and I would do what she wanted me to do around until here, right? Because then I was like, you're wrong. You don't get it. You don't understand what it's like to be having these thoughts and feelings and actively knowing that the whole rest of the world disagrees with you, essentially. Or at least that's what you think at the time, of course,
Did you, or I guess there's two things, then and then now, think that there are some people who may not know themselves and think they're gay, and then later like, oh wait, actually I wasn't. Or what do you think of that?
I have a little bit on that, because so there was a good while where I labeled myself lesbian, and now I would say that I'm not. And I think that's just something that I had to.
No, you're like bi.
Yeah, or pan. It doesn't really. It's like more about the person. I don't really.
Pansexual, for the listeners, like you have to be like attracted. It's not about gender. It's more about like just feeling a connection with someone. Is that right?
Well, I guess, yeah. Like because it could even be just physical, because I think that.
So that can be.
I would say that I am homoromantic. I don't think I could have a relationship with a man.
Oh God, I understand what you're saying.
But I think I could be intimate with a man, and that would be fine with me. But
okay, interesting.
I don't think I could ever marry a man. That I don't ever want.
Got it.
But
what the question was like, other people, you think that they might be like, oh, I think I'm like this, and then later find out, oh, maybe I was just heterosexual, or I was figuring things out. Or...
I think yes, I think that can happen. But if I'm real honest, I think that for humanity, and it seems like for a few other species of animals, that bisexual is default. And I think that our societal norms and standards have made straight the default, but I don't think that it is inherently. I don't think that it is naturally, because like, I don't know. I guess I really view like homosexuality on a spectrum,
That makes sense. I see that.
And I think that the majority of people, whether they're in denial or not, are bisexual. And
yeah, actually, there's these books. They're supposedly like channel texts, like spiritual books called Seth Speaks, and I read the one on like spirituality, and that's pretty much what it said. It's like everyone's actually bisexual. They just have a preference, and society says a certain way. Right. And then that's also been different in different times in society.
Right.
Like
and different civilizations.
Roman times, like it was actually like men could have like young boys, which obviously now we're like, that's terrible. Yeah, but that was norm. But like they were still straight. They just had wives.
Right.
But it's like
right. I know. And like there are so many other like past like times and peoples that were totally okay with homosexuality, transsexuality, like two-spiritedness. I don't know too much about all of that.
And I think it's Japan or something. They call them ladyboys.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yes, that is what they call them. And like, that's not even discriminatory. Like, that's just what they're called. And they accept that. They embrace that, But yeah, I think modern society, especially here in the West, is very binary. And, there's definitely reasons why they've decided, like, especially like in the 50s when they had like the nuclear family, that wasn't necessary for survival, but they did it. And now it's an American norm to have a husband, a wife, and children. Right. And I think that if maybe the American dream didn't look like that, we might have a different view on sexuality, relationships, and maybe even marriage.
Yeah, because I think a lot of Christians say that America is founded on kind of like Christian principles, and Christian principles are the nuclear man-woman family, and that's why it is like that.
Right.
But that's their story.
Yeah, and I think yes, but Christian principles also like have like slavery.
Yeah. I'm not saying.
No, I know.
I'm saying that's the perspective.
Yeah, but I wonder, how today would be different if situations in the past happened differently. Just like, I think we talked about this the other day, but like how homophobic people, one of their go-to arguments is like, well, you don't have to shove it in my face all the time, right? I don't care that you're gay, but you don't have to scream it from the rooftops. And I genuinely think, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I genuinely think that if society was more accepting of homosexual people in general, we wouldn't need pride. We wouldn't have Pride Month. We wouldn't have pride parades, because it would be just as normal as marrying a man for me to marry a woman, and I just think
it's kind of like, you could say like the, like social justice stuff with like, African Americans, like after slavery, and like there was still Jim Crow, there was still all this stuff. And so they had to like fight their way through. And so you could say like, oh wow, they're being so extra. And it's like, well, they were slaves, and then even after that, they had to fight for. So it's kind of the same,
right? Like the Black Lives Matter movement being like fought with the All Lives Matter movement, like that was so. Like the people that were like getting those stickers on their cars, doing these things, they didn't understand why it was important that we reiterate that Black Lives Matter, because for so long we as a society have been treating them like they don't.
Right.
It's not because they matter more. It's not because they are like more important than any other racial group or anything like that. It's because we have been treating them so they're fighting against that.
Right.
That's why we have pride parades. That's why we have Pride Month, because we've been oppressed for so long, at least in this country, And
of course you can go unhealthy in the opposite way of, you're fighting angry and bitter all the time, and, but it's a valid point. It makes sense. And it's something that you'd have to do to try to get equal rights and stuff like that.
Yeah. But that one crosses my mind from time to time.
Yeah. So we were at the story, we were talking, you told your mom, and then she was trying to change you at first, and then.
Yeah. So we've had multiple long conversations about it. And this was also happened pretty close to when I moved out and I went to college, and I was staying in the dorms my first couple semesters. And so she, like, anytime I would go home to see her, pretty much, like on the weekends or whatever, every other or whatever, we would talk about it. And she would bring it up. She would talk to me about somebody else, you know. There were a few times where she told me, so I told my friend about you. And I just felt like that was like a line crossed. Like, I don't know. Because these are people that I know,
right?
Too. Living in a small town, I know all of my parents' friends.
You know how small towns is, where it gets around.
Yeah, right. And so she like would just say things like, I told my friend and her son is gay. And, you know, she's just telling me about like how unhappy he is and how negative his life has turned out. And I was like 18 years old, 19 years old, right? And at this point, I was angry at her, you know? And so every time she would bring it up, I would just be like, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what you're saying to me. You're not even trying to understand, I guess. And because I see how she was trying to help from her perspective.
Right.
She thought I was making a wrong decision.
Yeah. But it also comes across as like manipulative or like, you know,
right. Or controlling. Yeah. And so I just like, I had started distancing myself, and she could tell, because one day she like texts me and she was like, I can see that I'm pushing you away, and that, you know, if I continue down this path that we won't be close anymore. So if you're happy, I'm happy that you're happy. And I won't talk to you about this anymore. And so that was a win, you know? And I was dating Sasha. And so that was like a win for us too, because it was like, oh, finally we don't have to like keep talking about this all the time, you know, and just like be together and start to forget that people hate us because we love each other, you know? And I feel like that's a place that I can get to now. Like in my regular day-to-day life, I'm not constantly thinking about like if somebody is going to hate me because I have a girlfriend, or if they're going to treat me differently because I have a girlfriend. It comes up from time to time, just like, you know, if it's triggered like TikTok or something, you know, whatever. But like in my normal, my alone life, I'm pretty satisfied with how things have turned out for me, at least for right now, as a 22-year-old, right?
Yeah. What about your dad?
So when I told my dad, I like walked into his bedroom and I said, so just so you know, if I ever come home, I might bring a woman with me. And he said, okay. Just like that. And I was like, okay. And I left.
It was like, this is awkward.
And I actually don't think he and I have ever had a conversation about it.
Wow. You think he just feels too awkward about it?
I think maybe it might be a bit awkwardness. One time, though, my sister told me that he said to her that I was going to find some boy and just forget all about this phase. Right.
Yeah.
And so obviously that didn't happen. But so he felt that way. I think he didn't want to say anything to me about it because he knew it would upset me. And I think he just didn't want to upset me. So I could see it. You know, he just thought this path will straighten itself out and she'll be okay. Right. And so that's how he took it, which was pretty cool. But then, where am I in this story? Oh, I was going to talk about some of the times that I, like, would go. So we have this little thing in this area that it's like a retreat for a weekend. So you're there for 3 days, and it's very immersive, very very like, I don't know. They're trying to change your life spiritually with.
Is that a Christian
Jesus?
Camp?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Christians.
This is like with your church, or
it's an extra thing. Like they have. It's like
you just grew up and it was like around Abernathy?
Yeah. So it's in another city around here, or a little town around here. And my mom went to one while she was pregnant with me.
Wait, is it Walk to Emmaus?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I've been to it.
Yeah. So that, my mom went while she was pregnant with me, and it changed her life. You know, she was immediately more spiritual, Christian, right? I'll say Christian. She's a Christian, like, and she'll say that. So when it was my time to go, I was of age officially. I go, and it was rough. It was real rough because I knew I was gay, and there were a few people there that also knew I was gay, and they're telling you these, like, you have like 6 sermons in a day, and they're all telling you like their life stories and their epiphanies through Jesus, and like, and so of course I'm like listening to this, and these things start popping out at me about me, and it's like, oh, should you be gay? What if you choose to not be gay?
Wait, what do you mean popping out of you?
Well, just like
thoughts or like stuff there's.
Well, it was things that they were saying, and I was making connections.
Got it.
Right. I can't remember exactly, but just that I remember towards the end of the 3 days, I talked to one of the actual pastors there, and I told her that I'm gay and I have a girlfriend and I don't know what to do. And so she was really cool. She was very like, you know, I think this is just something you should pray about, and something that you need to really like get God's opinion on. Right. And so I was like kind of devastated. Like, I really was having an extremely difficult time with being gay, being a Christian, and then I was about to go home to my girlfriend because we were in the dorms together, and so I knew she was going to be there, right? And so we're like on our way home, and I remember having this conversation with my mom, and I was pretty angry. I have this thing though where if something's too traumatic, I forget it. So
it's pretty common.
Yeah. There's like a lot of holes in my memory. But I do remember this drive I was like crying because I was angry that it wasn't okay. You know, that they were all telling me that it wasn't okay. Right. And I was terrified to go see Sasha because I had convinced myself that, and Sasha and I at this point were sexually active, like, but I had convinced myself that we shouldn't be. I shouldn't have sex before marriage. And that I was either going to have to break up with her or tell her that we can't have sex anymore. Right. And so, you know, I get in my dorm room and she's in there already. And like, she immediately can tell that something's wrong with me. And so I tell her that like we can't have sex anymore, that we shouldn't, and if we're going to be together, at least we won't sin in that way. Right. And at this point, she's not a Christian. she was an atheist at this point, right? I didn't quite know that. She was kind of subtle about it. I think she didn't want to scare me off, which I'm glad that it happened that way because we're still together. But she let me grow in my own pace, and she was just always there for me. And I think that's why everything worked out for us. But yeah, so I told her, like, no more sex. We shouldn't be doing it. And I'll tell you right now, that did not last very long. You know, like because I get feeling that way. And you know how Christians have the saying, like, something about don't let an ember, if an ember falls out of the flame, it's going to go cold, right? That's what they say about cases like mine, where I stopped going to church. I stopped seeing Christians on a regular daily basis, or at least having Christian conversations on a regular daily basis, right? And I started, like, distancing myself from those feelings and stuff. And obviously after that, it was like a traumatic point for us because Sasha thought I was going to break up with her for God. Right. And that's something that happens a lot. And it's really unfortunate and sad, but I'm glad I didn't break up with her. But so then she just, as we were together, it kind of got to this point where I was curious about, like, just what she believed and what was truth and what other people in my life thought and believed, and just, like, trying to widen my range of what is true. What does truth even mean, you know? And so eventually I remember one night we were in our apartment that we had got together, and we were using some cannabis, and I was standing there and we were talking in depth about Christianity. It was a hot topic for us. We would talk about it a lot. And I had an epiphany moment, like, all of these days that we'd been talking about this led me to this point. And that's why I remember it so clearly, that it could all be made up by a man. And this was, like, my whole life religion. Yeah. You know, like,
yeah, so you're like bedrock.
Yeah.
I get that.
And so when I had that thought, I know it doesn't seem like that crazy, like, oh, it could all be made up. Sure. You know,
I think, yeah, I understand how.
Was huge for me, because it was like, up until that point, I was in denial that it even could. But then it could. And that was it for me. I just, like, I was like, oh my God, essentially, this is not what I had on my bingo card. You know, I thought I was just going to be a resentful Christian forever. But now I'm realizing that maybe the rule book doesn't even matter anyway. Maybe there's really nothing wrong with me at all, because the people that are making the rules aren't in charge in the first place, you know? And so then that kind of started my deconstruction process. And I was researching, finding other people who have deconstructed, just to find similar stories to mine, see, you know, what happens after people go through this. What do they think? What do they feel? You know, and how do you have hope? How do you continue to live on knowing that one day you're just going to die, and that's going to be that, or whatever.
Right.
We don't know. But that really was a turning point for me.
Did you, in your research, did you find, like, there are some Christians who think that's LGBTQ is fine, and they're like, oh, I'm Christian.
Right. Yeah. And I had been introduced to that idea anyway, like, in high school and stuff. I went to places around the country that, like, one time I took a trip to LA with my school, and there was a church that had a gay flag on it. And I was so shook. I was like, what? That's a church though, and it said all are welcome. And I was like, that is so cool. So I had gotten exposed to the idea that not everybody felt the homophobic way that some Christians can, and that like some people were very embraceful of all people. And my parents I knew that a bit. It wasn't that big of a revelation for me that not everybody hated me, So I think then I started kind of, once I was deconstructed, I had tried, and I think I've done okay at like healing my traumas and spiritual traumas, at least. And just, I convinced myself that hell is not a real place. Nobody goes there. That's something I believe to my core. And I don't think anybody could ever change my mind on that one. And I just I wasn't afraid anymore. It was almost freeing in a way. And I had just realized so many things almost at once, like Christians talk about all the time that like they see things so clearly and everybody else is inside of a box that they can only see a limited perspective. And once I got outside of that Christian box, it was like, you have the biggest box of all.
You got that in reverse.
Your every single decision and all the information even that you have available is within this box. And I had started reaching for information outside of the box. And that was amazing, because my whole world was opened up. It was like I had my eyes closed and then they were opened, and it was almost like I was introduced for the first time to reality. And I realized that my previous reality wasn't reality at all. It was fabricated. It was controlled by other people. And that I had no idea like who I was or who I actually was, right? Who I am now. Because at that point, everything that I was, everything about my personality was told to me, something that I picked up from a Christian, because those were the only people that were in my life as a child, And so then I started really liking like thought experiments and just developing new ways of thinking, because it was almost like I got like a kick out of it, just even expanding my mind a little bit for a brief conversation was so exhilarating, because it was something I had never considered before. So it was all so new.
Right.
And
so you're
I
like,
loved it.
Now that the fear is gone, I can just, and I'm not so tied to, it has to be a certain way.
Right.
So it doesn't bring up fear. So now I can just question everything.
Right.
But not in a fearful way, but in a like, what is reality?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's still where I'm at. I love it. I honestly, I'm so glad. I feel so freed from the fear and the self-hatred and self-doubt and the, just because I didn't need any of that. But I thought that I did because I thought I was bad.
Yeah.
I thought I was eternally torturable. And like, now who is eternally torturable? Nobody. Even the worst of us. Some might disagree, but I think that's kind of your own perspective talking there. But truly, truly eternal torture, nobody, not a soul.
Yeah. What's funny is I think I've always been that way a little bit, as far as like open to like thought experiments and stuff. I think that I got that from reading. And like, I love fantasy and sci-fi, and like those are genres that are very different, And so in them, there's a little bit of like, oh, what if reality was like this?
Right.
And that, you get that little adrenaline, like, what?
Yeah.
And it makes you think and it makes you grow, even if it's not what it's now. But like, I think it's helpful.
Right.
And so I think that muscle was started to build early for me, but it did take a lot of work for me to like then be able to do that about Christianity as a whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just like a new door,
right?
Opening up.
So I know you said, do you feel like Christianity, like, a guy wrote it and like, it's just, you don't believe in hell, but like, do you still hold on to anything from that?
I think I really liked, Jesus. I like Jesus as a guy. I think he had a lot of good ideas that were very radical for the time, and his main thing was love, and I stand by that. I think that I don't need to be a Christian to love my neighbor. I don't need to have an air quotes intimate relationship with Jesus to love strangers on the street, to respect other people because they're a person, and I feel like sometimes Christians will disrespect other people because of who they are, right? And that's like totally against what Jesus was taught, his whole thing, So I'm a fan of Jesus, and I'm a fan of what he taught about morality and how what we owe to each other, because I think we do on a level. We owe things to each other because we're the same. And I think that was a huge realization that I made during my deconstruction that I had never considered. We're all the same. We're all the same. We just act different because we've been through different things. But that doesn't make you less. Just because you had really bad parents, that doesn't mean that your anger issues make you an evil person, And I think that's something that Christians like cling on to, is like really this idea of evil is everywhere. Evil is everywhere trying to get you, it's trying to seep into your mind and confuse your thoughts and, harm you. But I don't think that, especially when it comes to people. I don't think people are evil. Maybe as a whole. But even then, it's not evil. I think evil is a very extreme end of the spectrum of grays, because there's a lot.
Yeah. I've enjoyed getting into like psychology more, because I think it helps flesh out like sin and evil, and it makes the spectrum bigger. Be like, oh, I understand why this, and like this person is just evil. They have this complex or this thing, blah blah blah, and like you can see the good, the bad,
Right, exactly. And that I really like that. My mind is free to observe that. Yeah, because then it's not anybody's fault. It's the human experience. Yeah. We're all,
which doesn't mean that you don't have responsibility, right? And
I do think that you should, where you can control things, you should try and change them for the better.
Right. And then there are also consequences for your actions.
Right.
And so I think sometimes when non-Christians get into these conversations, and Christians are like, well, then you lost morality and then there's no accountability or blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, it's just, and maybe some people are like that, but
sure,
because you have this certain view doesn't mean that you've lost all of that.
Right. I would say I'm a more moral person now that I'm not a Christian, just because I've decided to take the time to figure out what my morals even are. Why do I hold them?
Right. Instead of just being like, oh, this is the religion I'm in. This is what people told me.
Why should I treat other people with kindness? Because God says so. That's not as meaningful of an answer as, well, because they're just like you. And you would want people to be nice to you, or you would want people to care about you, so you can be that for others, because you can.
Do you think there are Christians that do go through this journey and like have chosen it for themselves, but are still Christian?
Like chosen.
Like their morality. Like, I want to be kind to people because, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. And I think, like, Christianity, too, there are obviously all different kinds of Christians.
Right.
You know, you have your conservative, I would say, okay, you have your MAGA Christians, and they're, you know, they can be very hateful. You have your conservative Christians. I would say they're a bit less hateful, maybe a little more mellow. And then, you know, liberals, they might be a bit more free thinkers and a little more progressive, but still Christian, you know. And I don't know. I think that there are good Christians. There are good people.
I was going to say, if you want to start making a list of types, I'm sure you can like go on forever.
I won't get
not
too
just like political,
just,
but
you know, giving political
or like Greek Orthodox. Like, there's a billion different categories you could put.
I guess I really meant types.
There's a spectrum
of Americans.
Oh yeah.
American Christians more so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that being a Christian doesn't mean that you're a good person. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person.
Right.
I think you're the person that you are and a Christian.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look for like group identity. Like, oh, we're in the same identity, same group.
Right.
Oh, we share the same thing. We're safe together.
Right.
Right. Like, maybe not.
Right. And I think it doesn't have to be that way. You know, if we didn't let the fear kind of control what we allow ourselves to do, we would have a lot more unity. Yeah. And Christians too would be less oppositional, because there are some today that are big on like, these are the ways that things should absolutely be. Right. And then there are the others that are like, well, I just think we should love each other. I just think that we should take care of each other, and we should try and do what Jesus told us to do, you know? So.
Yeah. So when you were deconstructing, did you have to wrestle with the like view of like, oh, Jesus said to be Christian, and what do I do with that?
I didn't. I think during my deconstruction, and I know that I'm still young and I'm still growing, and some people might be listening to this be like, oh, young summer child, you know, like, I don't know. I don't have the perspective to look at myself like that right now.
In your deconstruction, did you ever have to wrestle with the belief of like, oh, Jesus said to be a Christian?
Right. I don't think in the scripture he says, follow me. Right. And I think I'm not convinced that Jesus was the man that they say. I think he existed, probably. I mean, he's just such a large part of history right now. And so I think he probably existed, or at least somebody that had an impact on the world like that did. Do I think that he was the Son of God? No, I don't. And I know that's like, if a Christian heard me say that, would be like, oh my gosh, you know, but like, I think he was, you know, just, and this is how I thought about it then too. He was a man. He was a man. He had a large effect on his people while he was alive, and he was martyred, and he was famous because of it, right? I think in my deconstruction, one of the first things I did was I really tried to comfort myself in that now that I think this way, I'm not going to be punished for it. So I I did, like, I would just watch like videos on videos on videos of people talking about exactly this, you know, and just trying to make myself feel safe.
Videos where people are like, it's okay.
Yeah. Essentially, or just their own stories and, you know, their own experiences with deconstruction and
right.
how scary it can be and kind of what I should expect through it. And like, I don't know. I wasn't afraid once I kind of took that leap. I wasn't, and I haven't been since, afraid for my soul. You know, I don't feel that way. So
that's great. So after kind of deconstructing, where did you go from there? Like, what drew your interest? Like, yeah,
I've been, man, it's so hard to choose. That's a big problem I have in general. Like, I don't really have like a set career path because I can't decide. And I think I'm a little scared of regretting a decision. And so I have a big thing in my life where I can't choose things. I can't, at least right now, you know, I can't definitively decide what I'm going to be doing or how I'm going to be living or even what I want, you know, because I could do so many things. I could be so many different kinds of people, you know, that I grow into, but I don't know what I want. And I think that's a problem. What was the question?
Yeah.
I just go off on these tangents.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of, I was asking kind of like, I was thinking more of like beliefs and like a certain group or.
Right. Yeah. I go on like different sites. I'm a big video person. I should read more than I do, but I'm big on watching. I've always been like a movie buff, so I just love watching things. But so like I'm really into like space. That's not number one, but like, but really all kinds of things like philosophy and ethics, you know. Now I'm realizing that spirituality, astrology, those are things that I had kind of ruled out for a while that I wasn't going to involve myself in because they were
too close to Christianity.
Yeah. Like almost that if I started taking those steps back into a mystical area, I might lose myself again.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to dip my toes into those waters just because as I grow, I don't need to be afraid. You know, it's my decision.
Right.
My life is going to be how I
Yeah.
decide. At least my actions are going to be how I decide, you know? And so just a wide range, you know, like when I see different things about different areas of science, I stick around and I watch it. You know, if I'm, you know, having a conversation with somebody about something big is religions, like all of them, and just like society and religion together. That is a huge topic of conversation between me and my friends. Like just how all of the religions have affected us so much and how the whole world is like, because we know where all these religions originate, right? And so for me, when I think about that, I think about the people that were there when that originated. What did they think? What did they believe? What did before this official religion?
Well, tell me more about like what you mean about like we know where they originated.
Well, just how like Christianity
how they formed.
Yeah. How like Christianity and Islam and Judaism, they all came from the desert, right? And So that's why the Christian God is the way that he is, because of the people that wrote the words down, right? Mm-hmm. So I think there could be a God. I'll say that. I don't know. I think all of the religions that we have today are man-made. If God had any input, that would surprise me. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And so I guess really, like, because what I mean too is if you look these things up, certain religions come out of certain types of societies. Mm-hmm. Like,
it's kind of like we're talking about with sin and psychology. It's like, instead of just being sin, it's like, oh, I see the patterns behind why people do this. So you're like, I'm seeing the patterns behind religion and how it was formed.
Exactly.
And how man was involved in the patterns of man are in here.
Right. Like, and that is something that is very fascinating to me, because you could talk about it with any, like Greek mythology. Why are they so humanoid? Mm-hmm. It's because of the type of society that the Greeks lived in when they started writing those words down. Mm-hmm. They decided that they were going to have drama. They were going to have arguments and fights with each other, and they weren't perfect. Mm-hmm. And they were vengeful and angry and but loving and just so human, right? When you talk about Greek mythology, why is that kind of God's system so different than the Christian God or Islam or Judaism, you know? And I think like that's really why I think that if God had anything to do with these writings, all of them, I would really be surprised, because you can almost pinpoint where a religion has come from, or at least the type of area that this religion has come from what type of God or gods it is. Like, it revolves around, and I think that kind of really, once I realized that, I was like, oh, there's no going back for me. There is no going back,
Yeah, actually, and I think I was telling you about spiral dynamics the other day, and there was a book I read called Integral Christianity, and it used spiral dynamics to show how the Bible has changed over time in the different spiral dynamics. So it's like the different sociological stages of development, which is correlated with the individual psychological stages of development, and how it's shown how beliefs and views and the way we like portrayed God and everything change over. Oh, wow. So it's like you said, like showing how man, the influence in
right.
And I'll say that I still believe that, like, I just say it's kind of complex. Like, I think that man gets inspiration and thoughts and ideas and everything from God, not everything, but like in that through man, them writing it down, God can be in there. But that doesn't exclude it from man's own ego and their own issues and their own clouded vision. So it's not perfect either. So I see both.
Yeah.
Personally.
And I think that's fair. I think especially because I am like more of an agnostic than atheist, I agree, and I think that there's a chance that could be the case, that God did tell these people to write these words down or whatever. Do I think it's the God that is in those stories? No. I just don't. With my own experience, I just haven't, You
haven't felt like you've had an experience of God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I haven't really ever had like a very spiritual experience. Like, when I was a kid, my thing was music. Like that was my thing. And I would have the most spiritual experiences during a worship set or, while singing or whatever. And I know now that there is like psychological reasons for why people get so emotional during those times. Right. It's the music.
Yeah.
Music makes us feel strongly, you know? And so I guess the reason I don't think that God is involved here, at least very much, is because all of the things that I have experienced and a lot of the stories that my people have told me, I can explain away. I have never come across something happening that was
like a miracle.
Yes. And one time, I'll say this, one time I was there in this house with this group and they were praying over this woman and she said that she couldn't see very well. And that when we were done praying, she could see better. And I believe this in a non-spiritual way, that we have a bit of control over some things that might seem like they're out of our control in our own bodies, like illnesses, like miraculous healing, because those stories are real, or at least they're told. I've never seen anything like that happen. Some people have. I think that if you believe it enough, it can happen for you. And I think that if that woman in that house believed enough, so much so that her own cells, her own body was forcing this change to happen in some way that I can't understand. But maybe she could see better after that. Is that God? I don't know. Because, I mean, if there's a God, he fits into science. And I guess that's why I'm agnostic, because I can't know yes or no. I just can't know.
Yeah. Did you after deconstruction feel like this urge, or like you have to like find a group or fit in somewhere, or like an identity?
I had some friends, but really I was, I guess, coming off of the toxic relationship with that ex-girlfriend. I was very used to just having one other person. So when I was living with Sasha in our first apartment, we had a roommate and she was my best friend. I was happy. I was enough for me, right? Now I've gotten a few more friends and I have some friends that I've made through work and stuff. And so sometimes I get the urge that, like, I wish I could help people like I did in the church, right? I wish that I could go and join some kind of group that isn't religious based, but they do go help people just because that's what we should be doing. Sometimes I do get that itch, and it makes me kind of sad that we happen to live in the Bible Belt, because all of those types of organizations or groups here are Christian based, you know.
And you feel like that you just wouldn't fit, or they wouldn't accept you? Or...
I think I could go and I could do some hard work, but I don't think that I could be honest with them about who I am or why I'm there or what I believe. I would have to put on a facade, essentially. And I don't want to have to do that all the time.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I get that.
Like, I already do that around my parents because it would just break their hearts.
Oh, yeah. So did they know about the you're not Christian part?
No. That is something a little risky about doing a podcast about this. Like, I've kind of decided that if they ever find this, you know, that'll be a conversation we have then. And at least I'm getting all of my beliefs and opinions out in one place so that they can try and fully understand where I'm coming from before they talk to me about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how high the chances are that they'll find this. I have no idea. But
well, I don't have a very big podcast, so
I don't know.
Plus for you.
Well, I mean, if they ever like just looked up my name, I bet it would come up.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
mm-hmm.
But there aren't very many people with my name out there. You know,
mm-hmm.
So
I can give an alias if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Change my last name.
But I would say that's very brave of you and commendable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was a bit nervous about that, but honestly, I think that whatever happens, it'll work out.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if they do find this and we have a conversation about it, I don't have to have a facade up anymore, and that'll free me even more, you know, and my own fears are holding me back now. But really, I would say the main reason I don't want to tell them is because it would hurt them. They would just be so sad.
Yeah.
You know, and for me and what they think my fate is.
Right.
Or would be.
Yeah. I think for me, what was hard is I used to have like really, you know, in-depth conversations with my parents about like Christianity and stuff like that. And so when I went on my spiritual journey, I wanted them to come along too.
Right.
And obviously I learned that wasn't going to happen. And yeah, it was hard.
It's definitely hard when, like, for generations, my family has believed these beliefs, and it's so embedded in, like, the tradition of the family that, like, if I was the black sheep before, I am like totally the black sheep now, you know, if I were to tell them. And I think I would probably be treated as so, like, just because honestly, it is a bigger deal to them that I'm not a Christian than that I'm gay. Like, and so that would be like a way bigger bomb for them, you know?
Yeah, that's different for me, I guess, in the sense that, well, number one, I'm straight, but also, like, I have family that are also not Christian, so.
Right. So it's not like
I'm the only one.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I have some family that aren't Christians, but it just so happened that my dad is the one of his siblings that's still a Christian.
Oh, wow.
And so my aunt and uncle, his siblings, they're not. And so I just happened to be the daughter of the man who did, you know, and so, and I think it's just such an integral part of their life.
Right.
That it would break their hearts, you know, they would be so just like, I can't
devastated.
I have no idea. Just, I don't think they would be mad. They would be broken because I'm really not trying to like toot my own horn. I don't care that this is the way it is, but I am their favorite. And I wish that I wasn't, because it's put this little weight on me.
More pressure.
To like be the better, you know? And so I think it would just especially hurt them more so that it's coming from me because I am so valuable to them. They really like me.
Oh, I thought I have a question a little bit different. Do you plan on getting married?
I do plan on getting married. I don't know if I'll get married in America, but I want to marry Sasha.
And why? What's the not an America thing?
I'm the future. I'm unsure of how things will turn out here. I don't want to get too much into it, but just politically, you know, I'm just don't trust that things are going to work out in that way for very much longer, or that if somebody did decide that I could be on some kind of list, or you know, and who knows, I might, you know, if I stick around here for long and then things are good again, maybe I would, you know, and I wouldn't have to be afraid. So really, I just don't want to be targeted.
Right.
And that really would put my name up on a list if I was legally married to a woman, you know? So, but yeah, I would say if it's safe, if I think that we have a good plan for the future, then yeah, I would love to get married. Just because I love her so much. Yeah. You know, she's like my whole life. I just love her. She's the best thing.
Yeah. It's just interesting. I mean, you know, once people change their beliefs or like not like a Christian, you know, some see marriage as like tied to Christianity, some just see it as, you know.
My parents definitely see it that way, tied to Christianity. I don't. I think that.
So you can make it your own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I just see it as more romantic than like a courthouse wedding, you know, just having like the thing, just doing the thing. And you have like the tables and the dancing and the music and like, I don't know. I just don't, maybe it was created by religious ideas, but I think it's outgrown because love has no bounds. I think that even the walls that religion puts up for love aren't gonna withstand the force that the love has anyway. You know?
But you still see it as like marriage is a loving thing. So if you really love someone, like it's something I would want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also I don't think that everybody should get married. I don't think you have to prove that you love each other either. Like, honestly, sometimes
like
I
individual
say,
basis.
Yeah. I say sometimes that Sasha is like my wife now. We're not married, but I treat her like my wife. We live together and she's practically my wife, but we're not married. So it's just like individually, you know, some people are very, I wish, like one time my dad said, I wish they had something else for people that want to be together, but it's not marriage because marriage is between a man and a woman. You know?
Yeah.
And like, you know, that didn't hurt my feelings when he said that. He has his beliefs, but like, I guess I do too. I guess I wish I could be permanently attached to this person and nobody's mad at me.
I think that's a reasonable belief to have.
I just want to love my woman and like not have people upset at me because they think that they know better.
Yeah. No, I get it. Not in the like, you know, like I said, I'm heterosexual, but as far as like my beliefs, I just wish people appreciated it and were okay with it. Yeah.
I know. I do too. But now, where I'm at now, I definitely see like I have a lot of growth. I have a lot of maturing. My frontal lobe isn't even developed, you know, and I see that. I see it. But I guess I'm glad that
mine
I see
is
it.
What I don't have an excuse now. That's too late for me.
Oh man. Oh, for real. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm glad I'm where I'm at. I'm glad that I'm who I am. Because that's something I think about too, is just like the randomness, the chances of everything. Like if my consciousness had been in your body, what would you be the same? Would I be the same? Right? Like if we just switched or whatever.
Like a Freaky Friday or something.
Yeah, right. But like young, like it started young.
Yeah.
Would you be gay? Would you be straight still because I'm gay?
Right.
See, so I just don't know.
Is like being gay a physical thing or is it a consciousness thing?
Right.
That's a very spiritual question.
It is. Is my soul gay or just my body?
Right. I mean, it does actually get into like the episode, I think you listened to it with Kyle, where I talked about like the different levels of identity and how there's like the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual. And I do think like the spiritual is like both masculine and feminine, but like, but I feel like it just doesn't quite, I don't know, it doesn't quite translate because it's like the physical is just in the that's just different levels. So
yeah,
it's like that's all within it, but it's also different. I don't know.
Yeah. I kind of get what you're trying to say. Just that, like, we all have such different pieces, soul, mind, body, that they're all tugging for my attention, right? My Juliet's attention.
Yeah.
What am I going to focus on today? Body, you know, that's good for taking care of yourself. Sometimes if you focus too much on it, then that's bad and it hurts you, you know, or it hurts other people. What about like my mind? How should I focus on that? That can be good. Taking care of your mental health is very important. But if you focus too much on what's going on inside your mind, then you can start causing problems.
Right.
And then soul, I'm inexperienced there. I think I'll get into that. But as I mature, and I think when I'm ready, I'll know. But right now, I don't quite have the understanding that I think that I should, to try and go back into that type of mindset. Yeah. And not potentially confuse myself.
Yeah. Right. So you're like, it's like you're trying to become more of yourself, more developed in these other areas so that you feel strong enough to get into that area without losing yourself.
Exactly. Because I think I had a setback because of the ex-girlfriend. You know, I kind of lost some of myself then, and then I had to essentially restart, and then deconstruction, you kind of restart again. So I just feel like I'm at a point right now where I'm really trying to just, who am I? What do I want? Why? You know? Yeah. And so I'm growing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great place to be. And I mean, a lot of people don't get there till later in life, or some people never get there, you know? So I think getting there already at your young age, that's going to help you a lot, because a lot of people will, you know, like midlife crisis, like, oh, wait, who am I? What do I actually want? Why have I done all this? It's not actually contentment or like fulfilling. And so then it's like they have to restart then. So at the same time, I don't love the word restarting, because I feel like all our experiences are always teaching us. So even if it feels like going backwards, in some way, we're always going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Right. It wasn't a restart, because I definitely gained things from being in a toxic relationship. I'm a different person now because I know what that's all about.
But that's not to say that it wasn't really painful and hard. And, you know, it's like you don't want to lose either side of it.
Right, exactly. It's like, I hate that I went through it, but I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
Because it made me grow in a way that I never would have if I hadn't gone through those experiences. And then sometimes I think about, maybe I would have met somebody like that a bit later in life, and it would have been even worse. You know, you just, you know, she kind of, maybe her terribleness wasn't so terrible, and she was like a warning for me a bit to just kind of go in the direction that I needed to go. You know? Yeah.
So is there anything that I haven't like asked or touched on that you want to?
You know, I feel like if I think of anything, I can always come back, you know?
Yeah, definitely. The door's always open.
Right now, I feel like I've said everything I thought of saying. So
that was good. Yeah, you really went in depth, and I think it really, because a lot of people come on and they'll kind of give like a brief thing, and you went. So it's just a different experience, which is great.
I had noticed that, and I thought about it a bit, but I think my situation is a bit different. And that's why I wanted to hit on the details, right? Because my life isn't very standard, you know, like gay, but also foster siblings. Like, there's probably only a handful, a lot, you know, there are a lot of people, but
it's a minority.
Of people that have similar experiences to me. So,
yeah. I mean, that's a big part of this podcast, is trying to normalize these conversations and then like people that might feel like on the fringes or minority in some way, and just like, it's okay.
Yeah. We can all be a minority together.
Yeah.
And then we're not.
Right.
Anymore.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But we have like belonging and community together.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And we can show like, hey, there's lots of great things and things to learn from these experiences and way of being.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for inviting me. It was fun.